Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 pilot, and in today's video I want to share my current opinion of the iFly Boeing 737 MAX. There have been a lot of comments underneath many of my previous videos, and in the community in general there is currently a lot of comments going on in regards to what this aircraft actually is, and maybe most importantly what it actually isn't. So by the time I'm recording this video, I've flown 15 flights in the iFly 737 MAX, and that is what I'm basing this video on. So, is the iFly 737 MAX really the best add-on ever to come out for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or is it something else? Well, that's the question that pretty much the entire flight simulation internet is currently talking about. So here's my take on the matter. First of all, the iFly 737 is a wonderful aircraft. It's really a lot of fun to fly, and it looks superb, the sounds are good, and I tend to say the virtual cabin is among the best too in the entire business. If we take functionality into account, things like being able to open overhead lockers or to handle the curtains, or even overhead lockers popping down when I do one of my typical former airlines landings, then that is all some pretty nice stuff. Likewise, the ability to handle window shades and stuff. So in terms of graphics, the iFly 737 MAX is certainly one of the best aircraft that is available for the simulator at the moment, probably only on par with the Phoenix A320 at the moment. However, since people do like to compare, I need to make one small comparison there, and that's depending on what you like and depending on what you want to see. If you're mostly interested in the cockpit itself, then I think the differences to the PMDG 737 are not all too major. Nonetheless, the iFly, in my opinion, probably is a tiny bit more advanced, which is mostly down to the fact that the textures, if you go like really up sharp, just seem that tiny tad better there, and of course you have the opening windows, flight deck door, and smaller stuff like that. Now, going on from there, let's talk about the other aspects of the aircraft. In terms of flight dynamics, the manual flight capabilities of this aircraft are pretty nice. However, the pitch and power values seem to be a little bit off. The plane seems to need a little bit too much pitch during the final approach, a little bit too much thrust. Small things, but certain inaccuracies that if you have flown the real aircraft you'll probably feel in this one as well. And just to mention it, this is not to say that any particular other aircraft would do these things better, it's just things that I noted with this aircraft. Now, this leads us on to the factor of the automatic flight, and that is the point that I have a somewhat split opinion of at the moment. While the autopilot in general gets you where you want to go, and in general does the things that it's supposed to do, there are certain issues involved with it, and most notably, one of the issues is the pitching behavior after takeoff, which should just be a little bit faster, but most notably the VNAV system, which in the descent seems to have significant problems managing the aircraft's airspeed. Basically, you always end up either too fast or too slow, even with the correct winds entered and so on. So that is really something that I'm hoping they are going to correct with future updates, but something that is worth mentioning for the time being. Apart from that, I found the autoflight system mostly to work fairly fine, and not a lot of things to complain about. Now, this leads me to probably the largest item that we have with the iFly 737 at the moment, and that is the aircraft systems. So you can still notice a lot of things that should be kind of, you know, standard in the competition. Things like FMC features or like general system behaviors. The iFly still has quite a couple of issues with those. Now, these are some of them smaller, but also some of them a little bit larger items. That would be, for example, the fact that if you edit something in the flight plan without executing it, the FMC does not run its VNAV calculations, so you basically end up with the inability to use the FMC for proper pre-planning. Also, when I've been switching around between the Route 1 and the Route 2, there have been issues. So overall, the systems are probably the weak point of the iFly at the moment. Weak point does not mean that it wouldn't be a good system simulation. Compared to other aircraft available on the market at the moment, it definitely is. But things like the speed trim system, including the famous MCAS currently missing from the aircraft, are things that I really think iFly should improve on. Likewise, there is one problem with the aircraft, and that is the fact that it depends on an external tool in order to run. The immediate consequence of that is that due to the dependence on that external tool, the aircraft will simply not be compatible with Marketplace and therefore not be compatible with Xbox, which at the end of the day does make quite a significant amount of customers. So let's summarize the contents of this video. What's my final opinion of my final opinion for now, of the pre-release version of the iFly Boeing 737 MAX? Overall, it is a very promising aircraft that I am sure is going to be an absolute winner in the flight sim community. However, I notice a certain tendency among the community to hype this one up to heaven and declare it the best aircraft for flight simulation ever. And I have to strongly disagree with that. In the current shape, the aircraft cannot really compete to the likes of Phoenix or PMDG, except in terms of graphics. But we'll have to see where it's gonna get to in the next longer period in time. It is mostly these items that you notice as a pilot that are missing. I'm sure the majority of flight simmers is actually not gonna have too many problems with this, except for things like VNAV possibly not getting you where you are supposed to go. So that's probably my largest issue at the time being. Overall though, it is a very enjoyable aircraft to fly, and it is most certainly one of the best aircraft we will see for the simulator in quite some time. I would not go as far as declaring it the best aircraft as some people are doing on the internet, because that hyping it up to heaven completely is only going to lead to disappointment afterwards, but it certainly is a very good aircraft that I'm sure many of you are really going to learn to love. Well, and that is my opinion of the iFly 737 MAX at the moment. Now, I know that some people in the comments are going to say, yeah, you're paid by PMDG, you're on the PMDG team, so of course you're gonna say that. Well, the answer is that this really has nothing to do with recording this video, and in fact I wouldn't be surprised if I'm upsetting some people actually recording this. But overall, the reason I'm in flight simulation and the reason I'm, testing for PMDG and also some others, by the way, is that I simply want the best possible add-ons, and that's what I want to help with. And if you ask the iFly developers, I'm fairly sure you are going to get the answer that I did do one report or the other after I received the aircraft for the review purposes. So, believe me, all of the comments in this video are dedicated to simply getting the best possible add-on and keeping the expectations of the community within the scope that I believe is appropriate for the add-on we have at hand. So, all of that out of the way, we did quite a bit of manual flight over here, and the manual flight does feel pretty fine. The engines are a little bit too rapid, well, not just a little bit, but much too rapid. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and bring this one down and run my one left at Tampa Airport over here. Lovely weather conditions, clear skies, But as we found out in one of the previous videos landing during the hurricane, the ILS is a little bit offset. So I'm gonna go above the ILS over here to fly right into the puppy, so that we can make a nice and smooth touchdown right on top of the aiming point. So with all of that out of the way, I do hope that you enjoyed my take on the iFly and my opinion on the aircraft. Again, it is something that I do really like, and I am sure this one is gonna be a winner when it releases. Thank you very much for watching. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and I'm very much looking forward to see you all again on the next one.